Two names, right next to each other on your screen, same job title, same team. They started a month apart. One of them takes home $312 more every paycheck than the other. And you are the only person in the building who can see both numbers at once. Not their manager, not HR really. You. The one who runs payroll. Neither of them knows. They sit 10 feet apart, they get lunch together every Thursday, and one of them is quietly making $8,000 a year, more than the other, for doing the same exact job. You signed a confidentiality agreement your first week. The job is to move the money right and never say a word about what you see. Here's what it's like to be the one person who knows what everyone in the building actually makes, and why the one making less will probably never find out. Every other Monday you run the file, a few hundred people, and for each one a number you know better than they do. Not the salary's easy. The real number is what they cost, and what they keep, and the gap between those two that almost nobody outside this room ever looks at. You see things in this file nobody else does. Who got a raise and who didn't, from one small change on a tax form, who probably just had a kid, or got married, or picked up a second job. You're not trying to know any of it. The file just tells you, every 2 weeks, whether you want it to or not. And after enough years, you can read the thing sideways. Someone quietly maxes out their retirement contribution in January. They're feeling secure. Someone drops it to nothing mid-year. Something at home just got tight. You can almost always tell who's about to quit before they tell anyone, because the person on their way out stops contributing to the plan a month or two before they give notice. You know things about these people's lives they think are private. You never ask to. Take one person on the list. Their offer letter says $80,000 a year. That's the number they told their parents. That's the number in their head when they signed, the one they still say out loud when someone asks what they make, and they will never once see it land in their account. Not one paycheck, ever. Because it's not the number the company actually spends, and it's not the number that hits their bank. To the company, that person costs about $104,000. Once you add the taxes the employer pays, the health plan, the match, the workers' comp, $24,000 a year they generate as a cost and never see, never think about, couldn't tell you the size of if you asked. Now run it the other way, toward what actually lands. Off the $80,000 comes federal withholding. State. The two payroll taxes nobody reads the names of. The health premium, the retirement piece. By the time the money moves, $80,000 is somewhere near 54. They budget their whole life around the 54 and call it their salary. The gap between the 54 and the 104, $50,000 a year moving around them is a thing they'll spend a career not looking at. And it's all right there on the pay stub, every line, twice a month. Almost nobody reads past the top number. The one line people check is the net, and only to make sure it showed up. The rest sits there in black and white on a page they glance at for 2 seconds and file. So, back to the two names, 10 feet apart. Same title, same start, same work. One clears, $312 more. A check. 26 checks a year, $8,000 and change, and climbing. And the one earning less has no idea, because the only number they can see is their own. You've got both on one screen. And the first time you catch a gap like that, you figure somebody messed up the setup. You check the file 3 times, because a $312 gap between two identical roles has to be an error somewhere. And it takes you until the third pass to get it. The $312 is not a mistake. Here's where it came from, and none of it breaks a single rule. The one earning more got hired 8 months later. In those 8 months, the market rate for that exact role went up, because hiring is a market and the price of people moves. So to land the second hire, the company had to beat what it was already paying the first one. The first salary was set by the market of 2 years ago, the second by the market of last spring. Same desk, same work, 2 prices, decided by when each person happened to sign. It tilts even further if the first one did the thing almost everybody does, and told a past employer, or this one, what they used to make. So the offer got anchored to their old number instead of the job's worth. The company knows this happens. It has a name: pay compression, new people landing near or above the people already there. The fix is to bump the first person up to match. That costs real money, and nobody's required to do it, so mostly it doesn't happen. The gap just sits there. And then it grows, because raises are percentages. Give both the same 3%, and the one already ahead pulls 3% of a bigger number, so the gap widens every year you both stay. Run the $312 forward. $8,000 a year now, but growing. And if you both stay 10 years, it's not 80,000 of difference. It's closer to 100, because the gap compounds right alongside the raises. $100,000 between two people who share a lunch table, decided by who signed in a hotter month for hiring. And the reason it survives, the reason the one earning less never finds out, is the quietest part of the whole thing. Most people think they're not allowed to talk about their pay. They think it's against the rules, that it could get them fired. In most of the country, that's just wrong. It's protected, but the belief does the work anyway. People keep their number to themselves because they think they have to. And a salary nobody says out loud is a salary nobody can compare. And a gap nobody compares never has to be closed. The silence isn't in the contract, it's in people's heads. And it's worth, in this one building, on this one screen, thousands a year to the company, paid by the person who doesn't know to ask. Once in a while it cracks. Two people compare numbers over drinks. The one on the low side does the math. And Monday morning there's a meeting on the calendar you can see before either of them tells you why. Sometimes the company fixes it fast and quiet, a market adjustment, no explanation, hoping it ends there. Sometimes the person just leaves, and it costs the company far more to replace them than the raise would have. Either way, you watch it play out from the one seat that saw it coming. You run both checks. You move the money. You say nothing, because that's the job. And right about when you make your peace with that, you notice the other thing, the thing that was true before either of them walked in the door. You open the newest hire, someone who starts Monday and hasn't spent one day here yet, and the file is already full, because of everything the system knew about them before their first morning. It knew what they made at their last job, a lot of the time, because they said it in an interview or because it could be found. It knew the lowest number they'd take, because a recruiter asked what they were looking for early on and wrote it down, and that answer quietly became the ceiling of the whole negotiation before it started. It knew the whole application, every title, how long they lasted at each one, how badly the read said they wanted out. It knew exactly where in the salary band the company decided to drop them, and the band has a floor and a ceiling, and almost nobody gets moved off the number they walk in on. Where you start is basically where you stay, because the band moves up a few % a year, and your spot inside it barely moves at all. The offer was never a guess about their worth. It was the lowest number the company figured they'd say yes to, and the model is good, because it's run thousands of times. One person negotiating for themselves, once, heart-going, against a company that runs this exact play every week and keeps the score. And here's the part underneath all of it. The company will pay a fortune to hire someone new, market rate, signing bonuses, a recruiter fee that can run 20% of the first year. It won't pay a fraction of that to stop the person already sitting there from falling behind, because a quiet employee who doesn't ask is the cheapest thing on the books. Loyalty, on this screen, is just a discount you hand the company for not making it nervous. None of that data ever got shown to the person it was about. They walked in with one number, their own hope, and the company walked in with a folder. So the new hire starts Monday thinking they got a good number, and maybe they did. But it got set the same way the other two did, by timing and leverage and what the system already knew, not by the work, which hasn't even started. And in 2 weeks you'll run their first check, and their number goes on the same screen as everybody else's. One more salary nobody will say out loud, sitting next to someone doing the same job for more, or for less. Invisible to everyone in the building, except the one person paid to keep it moving and keep it quiet. That's been you for years now. You're good at it. The company doesn't really pay you to run the math. A spreadsheet runs the math. It pays you to hold what the math shows and never let it out of the room, because the day everyone could see everyone else's number, half these gaps would have to close. And closing them would cost more than your whole department makes in a decade. The secret isn't a side effect of the job. The secret is the job. You see all of it. Seeing it is the job. So is saying nothing. So here's the part I can say. The part that moves you off the low side of the screen and onto the side that knows. 3 things, and the system is quietly counting on you never doing any of them. Talk about your pay with people you trust who do your work. In most of the United States, that's legally protected, whatever your company hints, and it's the fastest way to find out if you're the $312 name on the low side of the screen. Ask what the band is for your role, the real floor and ceiling, and where you sit in it today. It's a range, and most people don't know theirs even exists, let alone that they're sitting at the bottom of it. If they won't tell you the range, that's information too. And remember, a raise is a percentage of a number set the day you were hired. If that number came in low, every raise after it is quietly smaller than it should be, forever, compounding the wrong way. The only real fix is resetting the base, and companies almost never do that on their own, because the person who doesn't ask is the cheapest one to keep. 2 people get lunch on Thursdays, 10 feet apart, 8,000 a year apart and growing, and only one of them knows. He runs the payroll. He's not allowed to tell them. And by Friday, he's already run the next file.